Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Omar Pineda with eXp Realty, your go-to Austin realtor, and I'm gonna do a market update. Today is May 17th, Wednesday, and we're gonna be going through a few different places here in the Austin area. The very first thing I want to point out is when we get our reports, our president, Ashley Jackson, always is just great at just highlighting what's happening to kind of put things into perspective. So I'm going to read that to you. Here, highlighted in yellow. Inflation, the near doubling of mortgage rates, fear of a recession, and most importantly, stress in the banking system have all contributed to declines in home prices nationally. In Austin, robust job and population growth have mitigated these effects on home buyer demand, favorably indicating that our region's economy and housing market continue to outperform national economic trends. Austin remains resilient and able to withstand broader economic turbulence more effectively. Ashley Jackson, our Austin Board of Realtor president. So here, I want to show you a few numbers. So I want to rewind the clock back a little bit. Let's go back to 2020. So 3 years ago, a little bit before the pandemic hit, I want us to look at what the median price of a home was in Austin. I'll zoom in here. Median price of a home was $424,000 in 2020. Let's fast forward to last month of April 2023. Let me zoom a little bit better. There we go. April of 2023, the median price was $566,000. So in the span of 3 years, we had over 100,000 appreciation in the city of Austin. Now I've gone ahead and done the math, and that translates to 33.5% home appreciation from 2020 to April of 2023. 33.5% ROI. Now, I'm going to mute my phone here. One thing that we're going to see is just through the years how the numbers have kind of just fluctuated, so we can see, hopefully we can paint ourselves a picture. So in 2020, we were at 424. In 2021, we were at 537, so a considerable jump. And then at the height of the market last year was 590,000. Okay, so we went from 424 to 590. Now we're going to go up to this year. January of this year, we started the year off strong, still at 525. Then we went up 532, and then we slightly dipped down to 531 in March of this year. And then for last month in April, because we're in May, we're at 566. So another jump from last month. Now, keep in mind that even though I'm saying it's jumping from the previous month, we still see this little arrow pointing down. And that's telling us that's 11.6% lower compared to April of last year. Now, what does that mean? That's telling us that at the height of the market, right? So in 2022, when we were at the height of the market, where the median home price was 590, if we're tracking it from year to year, April of that 2022, it's 11.6% lower. So what is that? Another way of saying that is that the markets are starting to normalize, meaning when the interest rates are going up, the real estate isn't flying off the shelves anymore. So sellers are having to adjust their pricing accordingly, right? Because interest rates, believe it or not, have a huge say on the demand for homes, right? When interest rates were low, there was a huge demand because people wanted to invest and buy real estate because the money was cheap to borrow. But at the same time, we were seeing record sales pricing during that time when interest rates were really low. That's another thing to keep in mind, is that even though interest rates have gone up considerably in a very short time frame between when we saw the record lows till now, we've also been seeing the sales pricing for homes drop as well. So it kind of is bringing balance to the force. It's bringing balance to the housing market. So it's normalizing the housing market. So you're going to keep hearing me saying that because normalizing, balancing is what's happening. And even though we're still technically in a seller's market because around 6 months of inventory is kind of when we're at a balance. Right now we're at 3 months of inventory in Austin, which is considerable because if we look back in 2020, we were at 0.7, so less than a month's worth of inventory. 2021, we were no better. And then in 2022, we really hit the ground running. Can you see that clearly? I hope you can. We jumped up to 2 months, which is fantastic. And now this whole past year of 2023, we've been slowly climbing, and now we're at 3 months. So our new construction builders, everyone who's probably putting their home on the market for resale, that's where we're seeing this reflect in this nice. Now we're starting to become more healthier. So what does that mean for buyers? It's a great time to buy because now there's more inventory coming into play. So with more options, and when there's more options, there's not going to be crazy multiple offer situations like we saw when housing inventory was super low and money was really cheap. That's when we saw like that perfect storm where we were seeing these record high sales pricing and everybody was skimping on the contingencies, and sellers were just, it was their time to shine because they could literally not have to fix a thing and the home would sell probably above asking. So this is a quick little snapshot on the Austin housing market. And those are some really things I wanted to highlight. I want to move on because I want to cover a few more other areas. So I want to kind of go into more of my territory, Williamson County. I live in Cedar Park. So Williamson County, especially on the west side, is what I really am super knowledgeable in. So Williamson County as a whole, though, let's look at what Williamson County was back in 2020. Let's zoom in here. So Williamson County, we're in the 300s. Can you believe it? 300s in 2020, 307 to be exact. And then in 2021, we jumped up to 425. In 2022, at the height of the market, we jumped up to 478. Now, coming to this year, January of this year, we dipped down a bit, but we still stayed in the 400s at 438. And then we can kind of see 410 for February. Again, this is 2023. And then zoom in a little bit better here. Here we go. So the last 2 months, so March and April, 425 for March and 445 for April. So, but a good question to ask yourself is like, what's the housing appreciation been like in Williamson County? So if we're just looking at the time period between 2020, when it was at 307, to last month, 445, I've done the math, the median home price has appreciated by close to 45% from 2020 to 2023. That's unheard of in the investment world. I invest a lot in the stock market as well. I believe you should have multiple channels, multiple vehicles to compound your money, to have ROI. Real estate and the stock market, ETS, index funds are definitely the best, one of the best places to do it. But I can tell you, 44% in that shorter time frame, I have not seen that in my personal stock portfolio. So that just puts things into perspective. Because again, even though from a national perspective, they're not Austin, right? Austin, we have a very strong economical output. All the trends and the future job growth is pointing in that direction, which is why we're kind of special compared to the rest of the country, especially living here in Austin, because Austin is going to stay considerably in demand. And as long as we keep attracting big business, which from what I've seen, there's nothing indicating that it won't, we're going to continue to see homes to appreciate, not at this rate, because that's unsustainable, but we're going to see a healthy amount of appreciation as the years progress. Okay. Another things to note is inventory. Inventory matters a lot in if we're in a buyer or seller's market. So we could see in 2020, again, this was a trend all throughout Austin. We were less than a month. We were hurting for inventory at 0.4 months. Then in 2021, we were like no better, 0.5. And then from 2021 to 2022, we saw a huge jump, 2.7. That's crazy. That's crazy. And you got to think about it. During 2021, 2022, it was the pandemic. There was shortages in raw materials. There was a shortage in skilled labor when it came to construction. And just the whole dealing with the permitting issues, dealing with the city to get all the building permits in place, that has its own timeline too that you have to take into account. So all those factors, and within the span of a year, with those kind of constraints, we jumped up to 2.7, nearly 3 months of inventory, which is really impressive if you ask me. And then this year we've been kind of staying at that output, which is around fluctuate like in the range of 2 to 3 months. So that still technically tells me that we're in a seller's market, because 6 months is a magic kind of number here, that of where it's a normal market. It's neither a buyer or seller market. So when we're in a seller's market, there's less inventory. And when there's less inventory, that means, and there's a huge demand of buyers that want to buy, and there's slim pickings, then we're going to see, sellers, the ball's in their court. But depending on the area, because you have to remember, real estate is hyper local. So this is Williamson County. This is a very broad picture. Then we're going to kind of hone in on a little bit more hyper local real estate. But I just want to give you a good, just broad overview of what Williamson County is doing, right? So we had almost 45% home appreciation in the last 3 years. We see that the inventory is staying kind of steady at around 3 months. We could see for last month, for April, there were 2,300 active listings, 919 closed sales, which puts us at an absorption rate of 2.5. And the absorption rate, for those who are wondering, is it's the sales velocity of real estate. So if we kept at this rate of these many homes being closed, at how many active listings there were, all the buyers would gobble up those active listings in 2.5 months. Right. So it's a big difference between what the absorption rate and what the months of inventory looks like. Those numbers, although they can be the same, they mean different things. Okay. So if you're watching this video and you are considering the move to Austin because your job's making you move here, or you're trying to just, come here because there's of all the job opportunities available to you, this is going to give you a good idea of what the market's looking like, especially since you have something to compare it to from back home. I'm originally from California, and these numbers are like half of what I see when it comes to what homes are going for out there, and which tells me that this is still such a young city, so much room for potential growth. We have the space to expand, and I think last time I checked, Austin was fluctuating around a little bit over 1 million people. Los Angeles has a little over 10 million people. That puts things into perspective, because when you look at population density and how much real estate there is for people to live in, we still have we're a growing city. We're still a growing city, and I hope we do things right and we expand, not just with real estate, but our infrastructure on the highways, so we're not stuck, so we don't bring the traffic of having all these people come here, even though that's kind of happening now. But I'm still seeing a lot of construction, expanding the highways, adding more lanes. So, it's all part of the process. Okay, where am I at with time? Okay, here we go. Cedar Park. Now we're going to go to Cedar Park. Cedar Park, so let's zoom in. Let's keep the flow going. In 2020, we were at $353,000 median price of a home in Cedar Park in 2020. In 2021, look at that jump to $499,000, almost breaking the 500 threshold. And then in 2022, we did break the 500,000 threshold at $560,000. Fast forward to this year, we dipped down. Notice what happened. Why did we go from 560 in 2022 to 425 in January of this year? Because interest rates start changing, right? Interest rates it's a huge factor when it comes to what people can afford to buy a home, right? So it makes sense. If you look at these numbers, it tells me a story that 2021, 2022, those were the years during the pandemic when we had those record low interest rates. So since money was cheap to borrow, and we had a lot of second-time home buyers, meaning they already had a home, and they either refinanced and pulled that equity out to buy their second home, or we had a lot of transplants, right? We had a lot of people from California and just states, out of state buyers coming to Austin because they saw the demand, they saw like the growth, the future potential. And then when we have a lot of demand with very little inventory, right? 0.03, 1.5 months of inventory, you're going to see that the median home price just skyrocket, right? And now that inventory is slowly picking back up, which we kind of see here, but the interest rates have also gone up. Now we're starting to see the median home price drop. So let's look at March and April of this year at what the median home price was. Okay, let's try to get a side by side here. Let me zoom in a little bit better. There we go. So you guys can see at home. Okay, so April of 2023, we were at 550,000 median price of a home here in Cedar Park. Now, if you remember, in 2020, we were at 353. That is a considerable jump. So what does that mean as far as a percentage when it comes to your home appreciation? Cedar Park, the median home price appreciated by approximately 55.8% between 2020 and April of this year. Wow, that one's taken the cake so far. One thing I also want to note is just the price distribution. This is so cool to kind of see, because when you look at any city, especially in the Austin area, you'll see that in the 300 to 500 range, that was where the majority of the price distribution was back in 2020 and 2021. Now going to like the last year or two, we're starting to see the shift in price distribution in the 400 to 700. So meaning that we're starting to see a higher, just exactly how we're seeing here, more homes being sold in this range, because now we're starting to see the appreciate, and it's holding on because of the appreciation that we've seen in the last couple of years, because of all the factors when it comes to Austin, right? Job growth, big businesses moving here, it being there, favorable conditions as far as weather. There's plenty of things to do here, so it's a fun city to be in. And I know it's been on the news as far as many people flocking here because it's a great place to live. So this was Cedar Park. I really want to check out San Marcos. So this is for a friend of mine who I met at a real estate investing kind of meetup. I told her and I promised her that I would do a market update in a place that she was interested in, because she's a real estate investor. And this is my first time looking up San Marcos, zip code 78666. And let's take a look. So in 2020, the median home price was $262,000. 2021, $296,000. 2022, $360,000. So you can see the trend of all the places we've mentioned so far, as it's gone up from 2020 to 2022. That's like a general trend in Austin. And going back to, let's say, this April of this year, right? We were at 370,000. Okay, so from 262 to 370,000. So what is that home appreciation? We're looking at 41.2% of home appreciation between 2020 and April of 2023 for San Marcos 78666. And we can also see, again, look at the price distribution. A good chunk of homes were valued in the 200 300 range in 2020. What do you think that price distribution is now? It's gone up one bracket. Now the majority is 300 to 400. So we can see that trend is going to only continue to go up. So for my friend here, since she's looking at properties here, because these are still pretty low entry points where you can still make some money, either possibly cash flow or possibly in the home appreciation. Definitely in the home appreciation, because we can see the numbers here. This is a good area to look at the market for investments if you can get the home at the right price and depending on your overall strategy, right? So this was San Marcos 78666. Oh, months of inventory. How can I almost forget? Months of inventory is fantastic. Look at that. This place was never less than a month. We went from 1.7, and then in 2022 we were at 4 nearly, and then last month in April of 2023 we're still tracking around 4, which is great. Look at that, compared to 1 the same time last year in April. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so the last place I want to cover is Georgetown. I love going to Georgetown. Such a nice city. It's in the heart of Williamson County. I'm actually trying to sell a few townhomes in this community called the Poppy Homes by Avi. If you guys are interested in 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet, lock and leave lifestyle. I know a great community in Georgetown, close to several hospitals, great location for schools in Georgetown. So let's take a look. 2020 in Georgetown, the median home price was $290,500. I guess people laugh at that now in Austin because they don't hear those numbers anymore, right? But in 2020, those numbers existed at $290,500 in Georgetown. Then we jumped up to $394,000 in 2021, and then in 2022 we were at $460,000. That's almost, I mean, it feels like it jumped up almost twofold, right? Let's look at this year. This year, January 2023, 404,000, 451,000 in February. And let me zoom out here and zoom back in. Okay, so let's look at March and April of this year, right? So now we were at 399,000 in March and 409,000 in April, right? So again, let's do the same thing. So from 290 back in 2020 to 409,000, where that was a 41.1%. That's how much your home's appreciated. That's fantastic, fantastic. Months of inventory is trending, right? We could see that's healthy. 3 months is great, especially when you look at what it was a few years ago when we were less than a month, 0.6, 0.3. Now look at we're in the threes now. That's fantastic. Average days on market 76, 76, 69. I mean, that's normal. That's what it should be. I bet you when it was crazy red hot, look at that. 16 days on the market, 26 days on the market. That tells me that it was definitely a seller's market because stuff was flying off the shelf. That's crazy fast. I mean, compared to what it is this year, right? When things are starting to normalize and more balance is coming to the market. So Georgetown is another great place to potentially shop for if you're looking to move here in Williamson County. So this is like, I would say past, it's definitely north of Austin, but it's not North Austin because it's definitely the domain area is considered North Austin. We're above that a little bit further north, but still, we're still looking at maybe a 30 to 40 minute commute to downtown from Williamson County. Georgetown probably a little bit longer, but Williamson County is great for people who want to not be in the city, or it's definitely more family oriented. There's great schools. There's still plenty to do. It's just not the city. But Georgetown is great because it has this awesome Times Square, and where you can still have that place to eat, places for entertainment, and I think it's very special to Texas, those little town squares, because you definitely don't have that in Los Angeles. So that was Georgetown, Texas, and that's the last one I'm going to do for this market update. If you like these, or if you want to see your hometown, your area, I love to do these for people because it helps me just connect the numbers with the person when I'm doing these. And I hope my friend who I met during that meetup, I hope you got some value out of this for San Marcos. We can dive a little bit deeper into the numbers. Anybody, I'm happy to go on a call with you to dive in deeper with the numbers, to look at your neighborhood, or we can do a CMA, a custom market analysis. We can look at your home specifically if you're wondering what your home is worth today, especially compared to your neighbors, because I can do it, and we could do it on video. I'm big on that, and I just want to provide and continue providing as much value in real estate. So thanks for watching. Again, my name is Mark Pineda with eXp Realty, your go-to Austin Realtor. Until next time.